Yeah, and we didn't really get the opportunity to execute. I mean, we were so stretched thin as a team. You know, the
Yeah.
engineers were the community managers, designers were the community managers. So not only are we working on executing on our products and making sure to meet those schedules and timelines, we're still making content and we're still interacting with people, leaving comments and trying to give feedback and critique so those people's entries and ideas could be fleshed out in that manner. So yeah, we were stretched thin. So the idea of these other content generation strategies seemed daunting legitimately. It wasn't that anyone was being lazy or anything like that. It was just like, oh man, one more thing to throw on my already over full plate. You know, it's like an American when they go to Sizzler buffet. You know? Too many things.
It does. This is what strikes me in this conversation is that you had engineers doing community, engineers trying to do governance, engineers and makers also trying to do stewardship, and all these aspects of community. Which I'm a community builder, so it's a full-time job,
Sure.
And just like engineering is a full-time job, and just like marketing is as well. Community is its own discipline, right. And the more I listen to,
such, yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, and to build to what you're saying, and as such, and going in and answering your question in a slightly different way, is that because all of those things are a full-time job, and you have people with full-time regular jobs aside from the co-creation efforts trying to manage those things, as you can imagine, certain things just slip through the cracks, including integration of better tools that were existing that could have made their jobs easier. Like I think, Oliver, you and I talked about with your background in crypto, had we executed on our ability to track and pay royalties through some sort of blockchain sort of mechanism through tokenization and smart contracts, had we executed on something like that, and that was implemented and automated through those type of mechanisms, there were a lot of co-creation community members with so much value to add that would have still participated and kept the health of the community. Right?
And we knew we needed to do that.
That's a perfect example.
We knew we needed to. We were talking about it before. I mean, it's just like, when it's where do you focus? And sometimes you don't know where to put your resources. I think what we're doing now with the three of us is we're zooming out a little bit and we're saying like, hey, we understand the dynamics. We also understand that there needs to be that relationship between the brand and the community. Well, say you have your own community. A company wants to stand up their own community. There's a relationship between that brand and that community, and that relationship needs to be based on trust, which is something that is near and dear to my heart, because there are a lot of, my branding background, but not that there needs to be that authenticity, and it can't just be any way of branding. There's two big ways of creating a good brand. One of them is like, pay a bunch of money to a consultant and they'll put you in front of the parade and act like you were leading it the whole time, right? Totally just sleazy, crappy. What do people want to hear? I'm just going to tell them. It doesn't matter what our values are. But the other kind tends to build those relationships. It builds community because the brand cares about, much like a company that says our employees are really important. We hire good people, and then we treat them really well, and they treat our customers well. Well, the same dynamic applies in a co-creation environment, because you have to have a brand that's willing to say we're going to create this community, but we're genuinely going to invest in them, and it's going to be about the community, because that's the goose that lays the golden eggs, right? We're not trying to monetize it every chance we get and sell it out. What we're trying to do is create a community
you're not
where people
wringing
feel
the rag
respected.
out constantly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where people start feeling used a little bit. They start questioning your motives. And
they will be vocal about it.
Which is
if you have a good community,
good
you want that. Yeah,
if you care. That. And if you're willing to say, hey, we're
absolutely
keeping short accounts. We're willing to deal with things as they come. We're not just going to pretend it's not happening forever, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have an attitude. I think that's part of our zooming out, is our ability to see that. Oliver, you're a community manager. You have a broader view than we do. and in a lot of areas, because you're a community manager, you're looking at this holistically. Nemo and I have a sense of that. You have the experience in it, and that's really important. We need to be able to zoom out and say, hey, what are the human things that make this work? Because that's the real leverage, and that's what a lot of companies they just don't have it quite yet in their DNA, or they need to be taught, or and they need these processes to organize. Because you can't just say, we respect our community. You actually have to have processes. You have to actually have to know, like, hey, here's how we're going to do it, because we're willing to put our money where our mouth is a little bit, but it's going to yield such good results.